The men in the in your outfit, did they seem to think that it was all right to do anything to the Vietnamese?
It wasn't like they were humans. Like we were conditioned to believe that this was for the good of the nation, the good of our country, and that anything we did was okay. And like when you shot someone, you didn't think you were shooting a human. They were a gook or a commie, and it was okay.
The Vietnamese were gooks. They were all. We didn't just call the VC or the NVA gooks. All Vietnamese were gooks, and they were slant eyes, zips. They were Orientals, and they were inferior to us. So we were Americans. We were the civilized people, and we didn't give a shit about those people.
My duty was to go out and serve as a perimeter guard on the Dong Ha ramp, and this was an LCU ramp on the Qua Viet River, where Navy ships came up and they'd offload supplies. And we took our truck with outside the combat base every night at 5:30 to set up at the ramp for our night's duty. And we used to drive by this row of hooches, and a little 3-year-old kid in dirty gray shorts used to run out and scream, "You Marines number 10." And we'd always go back, "Oh, fucking kid," all this stuff. And so one night the kid comes out and says, "Marine, you're number 10," and throws a rock. So we figured we'd get him, because this was a way of having fun. And the next night before we went out, we all stopped by COC, which is right by the ammo dump, picked up the biggest rocks we could get our hands on, and piled it in the back of the truck. So when we left the combat base, we just turned the corner, and we saw a little kid. We were waiting for the kid. He ran out of the hooch, and he's going to scream Marine number 10, and we didn't even let him get it out of his mouth. He just picked up all the rocks and smeared him. We just wiped him out. In fact, the force of the rocks was enough to knock over his little tin hooch as well. And I don't know, I can't say that the kid died, but if it would have been me, I would have died easily. The rocks, some of them were easily as big as his head. And it was looked upon as funny. We all laughed about it. And then we forgot about it. And it took me about a year to even be able to recall the situation. I think it said something about the entire attitude of us over there. I never had a specific hatred for the Vietnamese. I just tended to ignore them. They didn't figure in any calculation as to being human. They just either got in the way or they weren't there. It used to be a game we'd play. We'd pour liquid garbage off the end of our truck to make them crawl for it. Mama Sans would come up with half-cut 50-gallon drums, and they try and fill it up. They get pork chops and sloppy rice and mystery meat or wop slop, whatever we'd had for chow, and put it in there, and then we'd let them walk so far, and then we'd tip it over, spill it on the ground, and watch them scrape the dirt in there. Anything to dehumanize them.
At the time I was there, nobody ever got hurt in the garbage dump, as far as Americans, but a lot of Vietnamese women and children were hurt. And it was fair game between Con Thien, going through the city of Cam Lo, on the outskirts of Quang Tri going to Stud, that American troops would stock up on their heavies, their spaghetti and meatballs and ham and lima beans, and any little children who were begging along the side of the road, which never numbered less than 50 or 60, were fair game for these full cans of food. They wouldn't throw them to the kids, they just bounce them off their heads or try to knock them off their bicycles.
These people are aware of what American soldiers do to them, so naturally they try to hide the young girls. We found one hiding in a bomb shelter in the basement of her house. She was taken out and raped by 6 or 7 people in front of her family, in front of most of the villagers. This wasn't just one instance, this is just the first one that I can remember, but I know of 10 or 15 of such instances at least. The gentleman on my left can corroborate my testimony, as we were together the whole time, served in the same squad in the same company.